We wanted to take some time to remind people of a story that we've covered here before in your morning. It is the largest human displacement crisis in the world, and it's expected to get worse. Sudan is in the middle of a civil war that has been raging for about a year and a half. Right now, famine, disease, and violence are widespread, with the effects of this conflict now felt across an entire region in Africa. Joining us this morning with more is Mohamed Kasselbash. He's the country director for Sudan at Plan International. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
As a reminder to people, on one side of this conflict are the Sudanese armed forces. The other side is a paramilitary group known as the Rapid Support Forces. What is the source of the tension? What is the core of the fighting about?
Well, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and bringing the Sudan crisis to the Canadian public once again. The source of the conflict is unfortunately very, very simple. I mean, there are two warring factions and they both want to rule the country and hence have this disagreement. They were previously part of the same regime and now they're fighting each other tooth and nail and causing this catastrophic disaster across the whole country and the region. And simply, they just want to be in power. I mean, I wish it was something more sophisticated and complicated than that, but that's really what it is.
You know, we talk about humanitarian crisis. We hear that phrase a lot these days, but this situation is really the pinnacle of that definition. The World Food Programme reports nearly 26 million Sudanese are facing severe hunger. That's a little over half of the population of this country. You and your team have seen this crisis firsthand. What does it look like on the ground?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is a catastrophic crisis that we haven't seen in over 40 years. I mean, the last time we had figures like this was back in 1984 at the Ethiopia famine that some of your viewers may remember. But the situation on the ground is that it's devastating every single citizen of the country. Yes, 26 million are in dire need of food assistance, but the other 50% of the population is also suffering due to the breakdown of law and order, the breakdown of all basic services. And what we're seeing on the ground is directly impacts women and children. The children of Sudan are suffering the most horrific crisis that anybody has ever seen. And children are going hungry, children are out of school, children are not getting immunized, children are just facing the brunt of the entire crisis. And as we all know, children don't start wars, but children suffer the most during wars.
Some of them are, I understand from your organization, a lot of these children are dying from hunger. You've also called this a protection crisis. Why?
Well, however you want to diagnose the crisis, the basic element is that the women and children, and girls in particular, are suffering the most. The grave violations of human rights on girls. Girls are getting raped. Girls are being forced into early marriages. As young as 9-year-olds are being forced into early marriages as a coping mechanism. Girls are being forced into survival sex in order to be able to feed their families or provide basic services to their families. Based on that, and these various factors and many, many more, this is a protection crisis. And it really is very sad to see that in the 21st century, we're dealing with issues that we thought we had, addressed and dealt with back in the 17th and 18th century. But today we see girls being trafficked out of Sudan, and the brunt of the crisis is basically being faced by adolescent girls and children of Sudan, and no fault of theirs. And this is a massive tragedy that even if the war stops today, even if the warring factions lay down their arms today, the impact of this war, the impact of this trauma will continue for years on in these young girls and children of Sudan.
Plan International's Mohammed Castlebash, I want to thank you for pulling our attention, our eyes, and hopefully our hearts to the crisis that is ongoing in Sudan. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.